Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. I be grindin' on them hoes like a half pipe. She say, Tanucci, you're the shit, you need your ass wiped. I say, before you gas me up, check the gas price. Then I make her take this dick like advice. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. I am Guy Pigden.
And I am Harley Neville. Which talented lyricist was that one?
That is Lil Wayne.
Little Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Little. That's what
L-I-L.
That's what I said. Little
Wayne. I said little, but it's really Lil.
Right.
Like
Lily Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
So that's him. And this is episode... What are we up to now?
28, if I'm not mistaken.
28. We've crossed the halfway boundary.
Yep.
As I drink a Boundary beer.
Boundary Road Brewery beer.
Yep.
Big shout out to them. They can send us some free product if they want. They won't. They won't do that.
No, they won't do that. So we've got to stop looking at that. We've got to... Yeah, that's better. That's better.
So we're doing a special thing tonight where we're trying to broadcast it live on the YouTube as well.
We're broadcasting live on YouTube to 0
people
currently.
But we're recording it.
Yeah, as an experiment.
It's a test.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so keep your eyes peeled because we might start doing this live.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a filmmaking podcast. This is a life podcast. This is about our adventures, both in and out of the screen trade.
Mm-hmm.
And, let's turn it over to films to begin with. Let's kick it off with films.
I'm ready.
Now, what's been going on over here in New Zealand is the New Zealand Film Festival. And I've gotten the opportunity to see a bunch of New Zealand Film Festival films. You've also seen one.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. Well, I find it interesting because there's definitely like a real sense of like appreciation and pride for these films. Like, you got all these people turning out for these film festival films and like, oh, I've got to get tickets. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I'm going to see 20 films, all this stuff, right? And it just made me think, it's like, that's great that you're so amped for the New Zealand Film Festival. How about being amped for some New Zealand fucking films? How about getting excited for some actual films? Like,
Here's a fucking idea. How about you put some New Zealand films in the New Zealand Film Festival? Just put it out there.
Mental. But it's just, I just find it weird how there's such a sense of reverence for this festival, and yet no one shows up for New Zealand films just in general. Like, these same people turn their nose up at just New Zealand films that are coming out. And it's just weird because it's like, these are just as valid as the films that you might see from other countries at the New Zealand Film Festival, and this, this huge outpouring of support for the festival, that's great, but it would be much greater if you had an outpouring of support for New Zealand films, because that means more get made and the people that make them get more opportunities.
Yeah, but we know what happened. Everybody got burnt by all the shitty New Zealand films that came out for 25 years. Basically a whole bunch of crap films came out for ages, and we lost our faith. It was like Peter Jackson did some good stuff, and everyone else was just pooping out crap, really, for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was like all like these dramatic sort of, cut your wrists kind of dramas, and it was like, it just wasn't a pleasant thing to watch New Zealand films.
either you stop watching or you cut your wrists.
Yeah.
Now the people that cut the wrists are dead.
They're not here
so they
anymore.
can't see the films anymore. And they were the most likely to turn up for those types of films.
So New Zealand film industry killed itself, basically.
They killed itself with their own cut their wrist dramas.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Yeah. But then, of course, something fresh comes along, like a very commercial, international zombie film feel.
Yeah.
They don't jump on board for that either.
It's kind of interesting because I met with a producer yesterday.
Yep.
And she did, for those live viewers, we got any?
No.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter. But she was like, I walked in and I knocked and like her assistant was like, oh, can I help you? And she goes, oh yeah, no, that's just guy. That's not a homeless man who has wandered into our office because of my beard, which is... quite homeless looking.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of grey in it, and it just kind of looks like I've stumbled in off the street from Huff and Glue.
I regularly rock the homeless man look nowadays.
Yeah.
It's kind of my new thing.
Yeah, well, it's going to be... So, yeah, I'm testing out the homeless man look at the moment.
For me, it's really just getting old
hobo.
and not giving a fuck. But
Yeah, the hobo. But anyway, so I was chatting with her, and, I was just talking about various stuff, and she was like... I was talking about maybe potentially shooting a short film this year. And she goes, oh, yeah, that's really good because you need examples of your work.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
We've got those.
The zombie film. She goes, yeah, but of course the zombie film doesn't count because it's a zombie film. And I was like, this is the problem. Like, what she's saying is true. Unfortunately, what she's saying is true. Is like somehow, I've made this zombie film, which in reality is much more difficult to make than a kitchen sink cut your wrist drama. Much more difficult technically to achieve and to do well. Is somehow seen as much less than a cut your wrist kitchen sink drama, and now I have to make a cut your wrist kitchen sink drama to be taken seriously because a zombie film is not a real film. Apparently, it's not a real fucking film because it's got zombies in it. It's not real
cinema.
It's an imaginary film because of the zombies. So I thought that was a very interesting, true statement of where my career is at right now.
Yeah.
I've got to make something other than a fucking film that I already made. I've already proved I can make films.
Yeah. Well,
this is crazy. It's mental.
It doesn't make sense anyway because a feature film, regardless of genre, should be a much better example of what you're capable of than a short film.
Oh, absolutely.
Like a short film, while still difficult, is a lot easier than a feature film. Any feature film.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're talking about a 2-day shoot instead of a 5-week shoot.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing. It's like anyone can have sex, right, and just jizz one out, right? Mm-hmm. But to actually be able to have sex well and do it for a period of time that's more than 2 minutes.
You've got to prove that you've got stamina.
And, produce an orgasm that's not your own. That's the skill in it, right? That's the thing that's hard. And
wait, what, are you saying that girls can come? Are you trying to tell me that girls can come?
Yes, Harley, girls can come.
This is news to me.
I have to go now. I have to speak with my girlfriend now.
I'm the worst boyfriend ever.
Wait, you're telling me that's not a myth?
I thought it was a myth, like the G-spot.
The female orgasm is a myth. So I thought that was interesting, and I guess with this film festival, because also that's the other thing about film festival films. I've seen some good ones, but I've also seen some kind of shit ones.
Yeah.
But those shit ones are still given a lot of respect. Perhaps too much respect, and it's all kind of this whole tone and like what, it's like if these same films had been zombie films, for example, people have gone, this is the worst zombie film ever, right?
Yeah.
But because it was a drama film, they're like, oh, this genius. This is deep. This is deep. This shot that they're hanging on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is real. I'm questioning everything now. I'm like, this is gone.
Well, have you considered the fact that maybe these films are just going over your head? Maybe you don't have the capacity to really appreciate them. Maybe they're aimed at people that are just more intelligent than you.
I have thought about that, but the thing is, I am incredibly
Very intelligent.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've ruled that out immediately.
Right.
But I have so this is I've seen this formula, and this was one of my Facebook updates. But this is my festival formula that I've derived from seeing a bunch of films. How to make a successful film festival drama. Number 1, make sure every shot is twice as long as it needs to be, while the story itself is half as long as it needs to be. 2, make sure the film ends with no satisfying resolution. 3, collect all the applause and critical praise.
That's how it works.
And that's how you make a film festival drama. So budding filmmakers out there, I've got the formula right there. You can apply it and get into a good film festival and get critical applause, praise, and respect that I don't have for making a zombie film.
Yeah. Also, like, if you guys are interested in making films out there, maybe you're just getting started, remember, don't make the films that you like.
Yep.
Because nobody wants to have those in their big, wanky New Zealand festival. Wait, am I getting personal again?
But yeah, so, I had sort of observed all this stuff about the film festival, but and I did enjoy some films, a couple of films that I enjoyed. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which does not feature Macaulay Culkin.
Right.
I'm afraid. So if you were thinking that he was going to be in that, another film I enjoyed, The Lobster, has no lobsters in it.
Right.
So if you're hoping for lobsters, there is none. And there was also quite a good documentary called Going Clear, which is all about Scientology. And it's all about the sort of, how it started, which is basically, as the science fiction writer wrote a bunch of bullshit, derived in part from his science fiction, turned it into kind of a self-help thing, and then turned it into a religion because religious...
Let's make money.
Religions... It's not a company. What is the word? Religious
profit organization.
Well, the thing is, they're making profits, but religions don't have to pay. Religious groups, don't have to pay tax in America.
Yeah,
and so basically, he owed all this tax for essentially these self-help things, but. If he says, "Hey, well, actually, no, this is a religion, guys. The church of Scientology." He doesn't have, and that was their big battle, was convincing the IRS that it was a religion. And basically, the way they did that is they kind of brought a bunch of civil suits against the IRS itself. And then the IRS, to make them go away, was just like, "Oh, fine, cool, let's call it a religion." And they avoid paying $500 million worth of tax, which is crazy. And then it went into just the craziness of Scientology, which is fucking mental.
Yeah.
And it is all culty and very brainwashy, and
they all are though.
Of course, they all are.
Even the big ones, they're all.
Oh shit!
They are. It's the same principle.
Yeah, but I think something with Scientology, that is based on, I guess, it's all about sort of mind games. It's all they have this thing called auditing, where they basically get you to over and over talk about talk about things that are upsetting to you, and they have this basically this electro thing connected to you, that's reading your electrodes or whatever, and you want to get the needle to hit a certain point, so you talk about something and then it gives off a certain amount of charge. That's too much. You got to get it down to a certain point by talking about it over and over again. And in this auditing process, obviously they get to know all your personal
flaws and fears,
confessions basically, which they all record, and so there's this thing of John Travolta and Tom Cruise being Scientologists, and it's like, why are they still in this fucking nutty cult? And part of the reason is because they got so much dirt on these guys from the auditing process that for them to leave, simply one of those things could be leaked, and that would be the end. Tom Cruise perverted stuff that he does gets leaked, they're fucked. And so that's probably the reason, or certainly one of the reasons, why some of these big name Scientologists don't leave. but it did have a sort of an interview with Paul Haggis, who directed Crash. I don't know if you've seen Crash.
Didn't see it.
And that was Oscar nominated. May have won an Oscar. So he's a screenwriter director, and he was in it for 30 years, and then he left. But I think they didn't really have any dirt on him in those auditing sessions. And plus, as a screenwriter filmmaker, no one really cares. You're not really a public figure.
Yeah. Although you could still kind of blackmail a person with that.
Yeah.
Still, he probably doesn't want, if he confessed to having had an affair or something like that, they could. So still fuck up his family.
He probably didn't say anything too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I recommend, if you want to know a little bit more about the madness, that's a good one, Go and Clear.
Right.
But I did also, there's also a certain, and this was the disturbing thing about the film festival. It was the people in the festival, right? They are very, a lot of them are sort of in their middle age. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are kind of a bit older. Mm. So you got your sort of hipsters and sort of film nerds. And then you've got, this older demographic of, sort of middle-aged people who, now don't have anything better to do than to go see these long, drawn-out dramas and their long, drawn-out lives. And what I noticed was that there was some real sniffy behavior when it comes to eating food. There's an etiquette. And I always get an ice cream, I get some popcorn normally when I'm so the first thing I noticed is that I was opening the wrapper of my ice cream, and people were turning around. They were turning around like like there'd been someone had fucking kicked them in the guts. It was the worst thing ever. And it's like, bro, I'm eating an ice cream. I got the wrapper makes a little crinkly sound. Don't worry, the sound, the audio that you're getting is many decibels too high for your ears. That's movies. The theater is very loud. So because you have this mild little bit of crinkling or crunching because I'm putting popcorn in my mouth, you do not need to have a shit.
Yeah. Well, you're taking them out of the reality of the movie, mate. You're ruining their experience.
Yeah, but I just thought it was insane because it's like, what? So we all just gotta, no one can move about, no one can eat anything, and we all just gotta sit here like zombies and look up at the screen. Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly what entertainment is. Sit there like a zombie.
That was, and then my girlfriend, she had a muffin. And
G-bomb.
And she unwrapped the muffin.
Who the fuck buys a muffin? Who takes a muffin to the movies?
She's a weirdo.
That's weird.
I think it was like a sort of it was just a
cake.
It was just a snack. It was just a bit of a snack, It was like a bit kind of like, just get a muffin on the way.
Well, that's not your traditional movie going food.
That's true, but I mean, it's no louder than a popcorn, for example, right? So she's got this thing, and it's wrapped in paper. So she's delicately unwrapping it. It's just as delicately as you can, just slowly, and it's just going creak, creak, creak. Crick, crick. And she's just doing it as delicate as possible, and just at the end, someone turns around and actually turned around and had a word like, could you keep it down, please? Could you keep this wrapper of this muffin down, please?
I honestly think that if I was in that situation and some snooty fuck out the front turned around and told my girlfriend,
middle-aged old lady,
I'm sure I would have said, face the front, and just gave her the evil.
Just keep walking, bitch.
Just
keep motherfucking walking. Well, no, there's the thing. I was like, what? And I was tempted to make a scene. I was tempted to lean over and go, you're fucking up my movie experience with your snooty fucking bitchiness, right? Because
then it does become a scene.
Everyone deserves to eat. Everyone deserves to eat. I was going to take a stand for what was morally right, but that would have actually created a scene, and I don't want to embarrass my girlfriend. If it had just been me, I would have been fully. I would have.
Or if you guys,
Was it all of-
or if you guys have been together for a little bit longer,
I would have leapt to my feet and gone, "You fucking bitch!
yeah,
You shut the fuck up, you fucking
In the
bitch!"
face with your cock, like fucking shut up, fucking I'll eat what I want.
All right, well that's a bit extreme, but
What? That's not the first response.
it's not what I thought. It's probably a harsh word, was what I thought I was gonna.
I wasn't going to sexually assault her.
By slapping her with my penis, Harley. But I guess
All right. I apologise.
So, and also, I will say also, I actually walked out of a film.
Yeah. I'm quite shocked by this because you are a lover of all things
I love
film.
movies. I like good movies, I like bad
You
movies.
like heaps of shit films. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you are the type of film viewer that would say, okay, this film's really bad.
Yep.
But I'm going to stick it out to the very end. And even though I'm no longer enjoying the story,
Yep.
I'm going to take away from it the lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm going to learn from it, learn what not to do and what not to like. And, I'm going to look at it from a technical standpoint and so on. And I'm going to stick it out.
Well, and I would agree with you normally, but in this
But it was
case,
that bad.
It was. Well, I guess I felt like I'd learned all those lessons
In the first-
after about 10
In
minutes.
the first 2.5 hours.
And and I also will see just another crazy thing. I was trying to think of another film that I'd walked out on because it's so rare. I did want to walk out, or my girlfriend wanted to walk out of your film,
yeah.
and I persuaded her to stay.
Yeah, this was Secondhand Wedding. If you guys out there have heard of a film called Secondhand Wedding, if you're from New Zealand, you probably have heard of it. A Secondhand Wedding, and I have a small part in that.
Yep.
And Guy's girlfriend wanted to leave even before my scene.
Yep.
Like she wanted to leave. She was like, "Should we just go?"
And I was
My
like,
scene hadn't even played.
and I was like,
Luckily, that's why she's the ex, man.
I was like, babe, like we gotta stay because we've got to see Harley's bit. I'm sure it's not right at the end. It was right at the end.
It's definitely in the last third. There's no doubt about it.
And I was very angry at Harley for pretending like he again.
I did not pretend.
You pretended it was good.
So here's what happened.
You sold me a dream.
Guy said, "Is this film good?" And I'd seen it 2 times. I'd seen it at the cast and crew screening and the official premiere. And I went along and I watched it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, especially back then, I was a lot more closed-minded, and I really, really hated with a passion New Zealand cinema. I'd never seen something that I really enjoyed.
This was a perfect example of that.
No, because this time... No, it wasn't. This time... Okay,
You were just in it. That was the difference.
I went along and I checked it out and I was like, oh, this is nowhere near as shit as I expected. Because it's essentially like one of those very small stories. It's a very small story about a family. The daughter's getting married and she's worried that her mum is going to ruin the wedding because her mum is a bargain hunter who loves shopping at garage sales, and she's really worried that her mum's going to ruin the wedding with these kind of tacky ornaments that she gets secondhand and stuff. And that's kind of really the story. It's not like a big story. And
It's not a story.
That sounded, and that sounded to me, pretty shit. But then, I watched it and I was like, oh, actually, you know what? I was surprisingly entertained, and I was like, as I was watching it, I was like, okay, well, I'm not the target demographic for this. This is kind of aimed at, like your mum's demographic. And I was like, but actually, still pretty good, and I could totally see how it's right for its demographic. And then that's what I said to Guy, and I stand by it.
Well, guess what? I watched it. I was getting progressively angrier and angrier at you as I watched it. Like I was in for a couple of minutes, and I was like, okay. This is not good. And then, another 10 minutes go by, and I was like, man, this is real dog shit right here. And I was like, Harley told me this was all right. I was like, that motherfucker told me this was going to be slightly semi-okay. And I took my fucking girlfriend, and now I'm embarrassed in front of my girlfriend. My girlfriend thinks I'm a piece of shit for taking her to this piece of shit.
She thinks I've got bad taste in films.
She thinks that I'm retarded, and I don't know good films, and this is just ridiculous. And it's like, where is his goddamn shot so I can get the fuck out of here?
Did you leave after my shot?
No.
So you stay to the
because
end.
by the end we were just in it so deep.
Yeah, you had to-
that was
had
just
to-
like,
had
well,
to
like,
stick
what are
it
we going
out.
to walk out now?
Look, have you rewatched it since then?
No, I never will.
I think that you should. You were taking on your girlfriend's negativity on the day as well. I think that you need to rewatch Secondhand Wedding, and then you need to call up Paul Murphy, the director, and say, "Well
PM.
done, sir.
Got a PM.
Well done, and good idea casting Harley because he did an exceptional job."
Well, look, let's just make one thing very clear right now.
Mm-hmm.
Secondhand Wedding, at that time, for that year, was one of the highest grossing New Zealand films.
That was because of me.
And it grossed, like, sort of, I don't know, 5 times its budget or something like that.
Right.
Something ridiculous. It is far more successful than I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
Yeah.
They're not even in the same league right now.
It had quite a prolonged cinema run.
It had a proper theatrical release.
Yeah.
So this is fucking embarrassing. We can't even get close to goddamn Secondhand Wedding.
No, well, to be fair, the budget of Secondhand Wedding, while still a small film, was a lot more than 250,000.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
I thought it was like $1 million.
No, it was about 250,000.
Right.
And that's with quite a lot of post-production money as well.
Well, how did they get Geraldine Brophy?
Look, man, actors will work for peanuts in New Zealand because there's nothing good going on.
Yeah, well, that's true. I guess that's how we got most of our cast.
Exactly. Especially, like, at that time as well. And, like, also, like, let's be real, there's not a lot of great roles for middle-aged, dowdy old women, right?
Oh my god, we are never going to work in this industry.
What are you saying?
I would say.
Then what are you saying? That's not dowdy? She's not dowdy? What are you saying here?
I would normally say we are never going to work in this industry again. But to work into it again, you have to work in it the first time.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say we are never going to work in this industry in New Zealand because we consistently...
Because I said the word dowdy?
Yes, you called Geraldine Brophy a treasure. One of our acting treasures.
No one even knows who she is.
She played Moira on Shortland Street for fucking years. Okay? She is an institution and a very nice lady. She was very nice to me. So, Geraldine, I am not endorsing Guy's opinion there.
Okay, she is a middle-aged, like, she is a 50-plus lady, right?
You can try and dig yourself out of this one. I'll leave you to it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She is over 50, right?
I guess so, yeah.
And, like, she doesn't look like a supermodel, does she?
It depends on your...
It depends on what?
Our current beauty standards in this day and age... but in the future,
now before you were talking about slapping the middle-aged lady in front of me with my penis because she was angry about the amount of noise we were making eating food, and now you're saying it depends on the standards that we all compare to.
But those are two different topics. We're not talking about.
I know it's different topics.
The woman in front of you.
Have some consistency.
You
here.
have some consideration for this treasure. Now look, this is such a small industry. We're so fucked. But we're having fun while we do it.
We're having fun.
We're having fun. But see, the good thing about us, right, is that we have always been shunned by the industry.
Yeah.
So we really can't get any more shunned.
No, we definitely can't.
All we can do is just keep creating content, which is what we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's our real strength,
We can't be more shunned. We just have to become bigger than the industry, basically.
That's it.
Because we will always be the outsiders.
Well, the trick to that is to keep on putting out content and keep creating. That's the trick. You never stop with the creating, and we'll make it. And we'll be able to poop all over this industry from abroad. We're like, meh. So
anyway, I did not walk out of Secondhand Wedding.
Yes, good.
The only thing that I remember, so I walked out of this film called The Assassin in the New Zealand Film Festival.
Right, okay.
Which I kind of thought was going to be a Crouching Tiger style Kung Fu fest, right? We... I thought it was going to be like this amazing thing. And you know, what it turned out was a bunch of people sitting around with silly wigs on, you know, in this kind of feudal sort of
Japan,
China. Well, not Japan. I guess it's feudal Japan and China, or is it only Japan? Maybe it's only Japan.
What? Feudal Japan.
Yeah.
Doesn't feudal just refer to the time period?
Yeah, but only in Japan, right?
Does it?
I don't know, but we're
Is there
talking.
such a thing as feudal Europe?
I don't know, but
I reckon there must be.
We're talking about China, I think, and we're talking about, like, you know, the dynasties and you know, all the different provinces, you know, and anyway, it was just a lot of long shots of nothing. There was one shot, right, where they just prepared a bath. They just prepared a bath, and I was like, okay, so where are we going with this bath?
Yeah.
Zero. Nowhere. They were going nowhere with the bath.
Well, was there some titties in the bath?
No.
No titties?
Nothing. Look, they literally sprinkled some flowers on the bath for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was the end of the scene.
Right.
And then it just cut to another scene. And I was just like, oh my God. And so I walked out of that. The only other film I can remember walking out of, Spice World, the movie.
Well,
Spice Girls.
why did you walk into that movie?
The Spice World, the movie.
Spice World, the movie. I'm proud to say I did not go and see that.
Now, it was a different time. It was the 90s.
It was a different time. But even back then, I didn't think Spice World looked like the type of film I wanted to see.
No, I can tell you exactly why I walked into it. Now, I was on
had a date.
I was on a blind date, right?
And and she said, "Let's go to Spice World," and you said, "This is the girl for me. I want to go on a date with this girl."
Actually, what happened, right? It was a blind date, and she'd said that she'd look like Baby Spice.
Yeah.
Now, Emma Bunton or something, or
Emma
Bunsen burner or whatever.
But actually, she was the Baby Fat Spice, right? Am I right? Am I right?
You are correct. So she was very misleading, and you know, see, nowadays you do your intel with Tinder. You got photos,
Tinder,
Facebook, stalking, whatever, and you
fatties don't stand a chance.
And that's the thing that like if you're having a blind date, ultimately you make it unblind by going, "Can you send me a photo, please, of what you look like?" Because I don't want to walk into a situation where we are mismatched.
Blind dates.
We are mismatched.
Are actually a thing of the past now.
Well, this is the crazy thing. Like, we'd had this phone. We got on like a house on fire on the phone. We were talking on the phone.
She had one of those great personalities.
We were talking on the phone, and she said she looked like Baby Spice. I was like, this girl, I'm in.
Yeah,
like, this is going to be great. I got there. Well, she was not the prettiest lady, and she maybe had misled me. In terms of how she sort of looked, and I'd gone there, and I convinced Nico, our friend Nico, to come with me as backup. And
Who takes backup to a date?
He'd said, well, she had backup too.
All right.
And he was like, he saw her, and I was like, I'm pretty sure. I was like, bro, you got to get me out of here, bro. And he was like, good luck.
Good luck.
And he just fucked off.
Yeah.
And I was like,
classic Nico.
Classic Badil. Classic Badil.
Yeah, so
anyway,
you walked out of Spice
we
World.
walked into the movie theater, and I was like, I'm like, how can I get the fuck out of this? And anyway, the only thing that was on was Spice World at that time. So we went into Spice World, started watching Spice World, and a certain way through it was like, this is just fucking terrible, let's get out of here. And then I was like, this is fucking terrible, I'm out of here.
You just left the poor girl standing in the cinema.
Well, no, I think we sort of talked over. It was like, hey, cool meet up, cool date.
Listen, wait a few more years until I'm a little bit more experienced and a lot more desperate, and I'll be keen.
And so that was the last. So I've walked out of Spice World the movie and this one.
Okay, the assassin.
Right. So yeah, that is my story.
Good. Well, look, we better give a real quick shout out. There's only one left. There was 3 viewers before on the live one,
and 2 left.
But now there's 1. And so we just want to say a big shout out to the person that's watching us live. Hello, how are you?
Good to see you.
So 1 person. Now that's pretty good. We didn't advertise this. We just started it. So winning.
Now, look, last week, we talked about, the age of outrage people making everyone apologize for everything, comedians, pushing boundaries, and how it's having, making everyone apologize for everything is having a negative impact on comedy. It's having a negative impact on society in general. And, I stand by all of that.
Yeah.
Having said that, I would like to formally apologize to my girlfriend's mum.
Well, wait, wasn't the episode last week called...
It was called No Apologies, and I stand by that. But I would also like to formally apologise.
Yeah, but it was called No Apologies.
But one apology. This one.
Oh, it was cool. We need to go back and change
we got to change the name to One Apology.
One apology. So that's this week's That's this week's name of the episode. One Apology.
One Apology. Now, obviously... What happened last week is, I talked about, my girlfriend's mum. She saw you in the zombie film.
Yes.
She thought you were great.
The zombie film, I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, which you can get on DVD at JB Hi-Fi and The Warehouse and on mightyape.co.nz and on iTunes.
And she loved it. She loved your performance in it. And then I may have done an impersonation of her.
A racist...
It wasn't racist. I was just trying to sound like how she sounded.
Right.
So it wasn't racist. I was not trying to make fun of anyone.
Right.
I was just like, I heard this come into my ears. I'm repeating it out on the podcast verbatim as I heard it.
Yeah, but we didn't know, obviously.
We had no idea that she would listen to the entire podcast.
Whose mum listens to this podcast?
I know, and just think about it. And I was like, then I started mentally going through in my head, like
all the shit we talked about last week.
We always have this problem.
Last week's episode was particularly offensive, I think.
Exactly, but I also think that, apart from that little faux pas by me, most of it was you doing the offending.
Well,
you were the offender.
Yeah?
You were calling people the C word.
I did drop the C-bomb a few times.
You made some very sexist jokes.
Well...
involved with that.
Yeah.
You also, brought up Oculus Rift, the porn.
And programming in your friends.
Yeah.
And creating a gangbang with your friends in an Oculus Rift.
Ooh, and you also said, at the beginning you used that quote from Bloodhound Gang, which is involving cunnilingus.
Yeah.
But it's all me.
Luckily, it's not my girlfriend's mum, eh?
I'm exempt from a lot of. I think I was the voice of reason in the podcast. I like to believe, although I definitely overstepped some boundaries. At some points there was some bad jokes.
So
to my girlfriend's mother, I just want to point out that you can tell how your girlfriend's going to look by, you say you can tell how your girlfriend's going to age by looking at their mother.
Yes.
Right? Now, if that's the case, I'm a very lucky man.
Yes.
I am a very lucky man because she is a beautiful lady.
You saying Shelley's mum is hot?
I'm saying that...
Is this an apology and you're saying that Shelley's mum is hot?
Oh, you didn't need to name her.
Sorry.
I've been very good with...
You can beep it later. Beep it. Just
I've been
beep
very
it.
good with monitoring that, but okay.
Just beep it.
And so, so I just wanted to say that, first of all. And, I didn't want to apologise and, as they say in the Orient, Misa avari sorry. So moving on. Moving on. Moving on to the next topic.
I sincerely
what else we got?
I sincerely hope she didn't subscribe, man. I really hope she didn't subscribe.
what have we got else in the... What's we got any listener feedback?
Yeah, well, look, actually, I had something to talk about, which is that... Now, you know that I like to talk about this doom and gloom and the end of the world.
Sure do.
That's something that, for me, I think a lot about it. It inspires me creatively. I like to write poems about it and, that type of thing. I enjoy thinking about it. It stimulates me mentally. But it's easy to get a little bit down on the world, because there's a lot of bad stuff happening in the world, and also, there's that whole thing where the world is ending in front of our faces, and we're not doing anything about it. So it's easy to get a bit depressed.
Yeah, we're going here.
I just want, lately, in recent kind of, very recent times, there's a whole bunch of things that I'm actually very happy about.
Okay.
And I wanted to talk about a few of those
Let's
things.
talk about those.
Okay, look. Here's the first thing. I am happy because gays can now get married in the States.
That's great.
That makes me happy. Like, I'm genuinely, I'm unhappy that it took this long, but I'm happy to see that the States did it because, America's the richest country in the world, right? So what they do, the rest of the world follows.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, overnight, when that went through, overnight, Australia looked like a bunch of homophobic assholes.
Yep.
Because they haven't done it yet. And it's like, oh man, you guys look like fucking idiots now. So that is awesome that America did that. That's a big step in the right direction for the whole world because they're the leaders of the world.
Yep.
2, we sent a probe to Pluto and saw it for the first time. This is fucking phenomenal. We knew Pluto was there because of the way it affected bodies around it, okay, but we had never actually seen what it looked like. We had no idea about the topography of it. Mm-hmm. Now we've seen it. We've seen something there, and we've got these great photos of it.
Yeah.
It's got a love heart on it. It's got a big love heart on the side of it.
Well,
we didn't know that,
But what's next? Do you think they're going to send a probe to Uranus?
Yeah. Terrible. Leave the comedy there, yeah? We'll just leave it. Uranus jokes. Incredible. Okay.
I was just asking a question, Harley.
Yes. I think they've already done that.
Right.
Okay, 3. We've got a 900 kg nuclear-powered, car-sized robot actively exploring Mars. Mm-hmm. That's fucking exciting. It's there right now. It's been there for almost 3 years. That's fucking awesome. Like, humanity is progressing in leaps and bounds, and we're learning heaps every day. 4. McDonald's New Zealand has announced that it's going to be using free-range eggs in all of its restaurants by December 2016. That's great news. That's consumer power right there. That's fucking awesome. And 5th and final, Stephen Hawking, along with some other very intelligent people, they've just launched a $100 million program to actively listen for extraterrestrial civilizations. It's called Breakthrough Listen, and it's a 10-year program, and they're now exploring all these other frequencies and light and shit like that to see if they can find aliens. And if we can find them, well, damn, it's going to change the world.
But if we do find them, let's not send a message to them.
Well, that's the thing, because there's one called Breakthrough Listen and one called Breakthrough Contact, I think.
Right.
And so it starts off with Breakthrough Listen, and the idea is that we're sitting here quiet as a mouse just seeing what's going on out there because, we don't want to be necessarily telling them that we're here.
Because, we've all seen what happens when aliens come to Earth. It's a little film called Independence Day. I suggest you get it out.
It's practically a documentary.
It's pretty much science fact.
Yeah.
Hard
fiction. Hard science fiction.
Exactly. And look, we don't know if Will Smith is going to be capable of fighting them off again because he's a bit older.
He's getting older.
We're talking about he's 15 years old. He's a bit slower. His piloting skills are not going to be the same as they were. And, he's already said, welcome to Earth and punch an alien.
Yeah.
What's he going to say for the second one?
I'm also just a bit concerned that, his witty one-liners are just not going to be there.
Yeah, he may have run out of witty one-liners at this stage.
Yeah. Oh no, you did not just shoot that green shit at me. Something like that.
That's good. That was pretty good. No, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think another interesting thing we should talk about is there anything else that you were excited about?
Well, those were my main sort of. I mean, there's actually a few other things going on in the world, but those are just a little concise summary of the things that are actually making me feel good about the world at the moment.
Well, Pluto's not even a real planet.
Well, it's not a planet; it's a planetoid. And that's because it hasn't cleared out all the debris and asteroids and so on in its orbit.
Right.
And once it's done that, I don't know if that means it becomes a planet or not.
Yeah. Well, it was a planet. It's not a planet. What is it? What is it?
It's a planetoid. We've covered this.
Yeah. Well, what's the difference? It's a penis. It's a penis-toid. What's it? What do you?
Well, I mean...
When is it a real thing?
All right. What else you got?
So I did want to talk now. We've both been on the Podfellas podcast now.
Yes, we
so
did.
If you want to actually hear us talk intelligently about our careers, respectively, for me as a filmmaker, for you as an actor,
Yeah.
I suggest you check out Will Fleming's podcast, which is called Podfellas.
Yes.
At Podfellas on Twitter, and they've got everything, all the links through there. And I listened to your podcast, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed.
Good.
You had some interesting thoughts on acting. You had some interesting things, and it actually made me want to talk about some of the things that you brought up.
Okay.
One specifically is that you talked about I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and whether or not you kind of felt the pressure of being the lead actor, which never even really occurred to me at the time.
Really?
That never, I was worried about all my shit. So I was worried about not just the actors, but the props, the sets, the cast, the crew.
The fucking weather.
The weather, the camera, the focus.
The special effects not working.
So I had many, you were just one element. And to be honest, I was least worried about the actors. I was least worried about the idea that the actors would just start fucking up, because I thought that I'd cast very well, and I thought I was very confident in their abilities. And to be honest, when we were filming, I was always the main thought that I always had as we were filming and things were going wrong all the time was, well, thank God the acting is working. Thank God they're playing the scenes right. The scenes are working. The acting's working. It's just everything around them that's breaking down and not quite really coming together. But thank God the performances are there.
Yeah.
And that's always what I thought. I never really had a thought where I was just like, no, they didn't quite. Oh, no, that's not it. I didn't really ever get that. And I would tend not to move on if I thought that things were going the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was very interesting that, because, from that other perspective, is you were the lead actor of this feature film, and, as in the same way that as a director, the film hung on my shoulders. As an actor, the film hung on your shoulders. If you weren't doing your job and you weren't doing it well, and, it's not just a matter of playing a part. You are carrying the film.
Yeah.
You're the lead. It's not just you working. It's you working with everyone else. It's you working within the story. It's your evolution, through the film. This is quite a big thing, which that never really occurred to me at the time. But I'm just interested in why you weren't worried about did you ever get nervous? Did you ever think oh fuck, this is all about me?
No, well, obviously the reason why you never really thought about it is because I was so nonchalant about it. I guess I was just showing up to set.
Yeah. Having some laughs, eating some lollies,
fucking around,
picking out on some lollies.
Hitting on the extras, and then fucking doing the scenes. I was having the time of my life.
But it's funny, you saw the whole thing as quite a joy, and quite a pleasant experience overall, and never really felt like you. But did you never not sort of think it in in the middle of shit?
No, well, I mean, obviously there was some concern. I was acutely aware of the fact that if people didn't like the lead character played by me, if they didn't like that lead character, then the entire film would fail. It's not just the writing. The writings are obviously very important, but the actor has to engage with the audience.
Yeah.
And I was obviously aware of that, and it was very concerning that I had to do that, and there was also a lot of there was a little bit of anxiety around the fact that this was the biggest shoot I'd been on. At some points there was literally hundreds of people standing quietly after you said action. They're standing there quietly waiting for me to say something or do something or do my thing and not fuck it up. Hundreds of people just in silence. Action.
Yeah.
Silence. Waiting for me to go. And there's obviously some anxiety there, but I think that what really how it worked out was a combination of brash youth. I was just like, sweet as, I got it.
You were very arrogant. You were very arrogant at the time.
Brash youth. Brash youth is what it was. And two, it was that we rehearsed a lot, so I knew what was required of me. you know, we always got in time for rehearsal before the shoot.
Yep.
You know, like even if it wasn't with you, if it was with the other actors.
Yep.
You know, so I always knew what was required of me. And then on top of that, because I never felt like, I really felt like if I fucked something up and you had to come and tell me about it, well, I could fix it.
Yeah.
You know, because I knew you and I had a relationship with you as a director. That meant that. You know, I didn't feel nervous that you would ask me something that I couldn't do, really.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
You knew what I was capable of and knew how I had planned on doing it from the rehearsals.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess it never really felt like I was in too much trouble. But there was like some of the scenes. There are some more dramatic scenes in the second last third of the film, whatever. And in there was a bit where it had to be a bit more dramatic and a bit more serious, and you know, some of those scenes were a bit concerning for me. You know, some of the more dramatic stuff was more of a worry for me than the comedic stuff. But you know, we just did it and it worked, I guess.
Yeah,
I hope.
Because like, you know, obviously now I've done the same thing in Older, where I played the lead.
So Older is our second feature film. You can find out more information about that at oldermovie.com, or you can find the Older the Movie Facebook page, and there's a trailer and all that there.
And I can't decide if I was more or less worried than you were doing it.
When you were recording Older,
yeah,
you couldn't decide
like,
if you were more concerned about the acting than I was when we were doing I Survived
when
the
you were
Zombie
playing the
Holocaust.
lead. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Like, I wasn't sure. Like, I mean, my thought was always like, one, surround myself with good actors, and they will elevate me to their level. And
An interesting prospect. Arguably, it could be the other way. Surround yourself by good actors.
Yeah.
Have a supporting cast that is amazing.
Yeah.
And then make
One
the lead
shit main guy.
make the lead actor look like shit. You know,
well, lucky I didn't look at it like that.
because that's what I'd be concerned about.
Well, look,
like it makes sense that if you surround yourself by good actors, you know, people are going to notice less those little moments of bad acting if they exist.
Yeah. Which they don't. But, you know, it is like, I think it is a bit like tennis, where, you know, essentially they say when you play a good tennis player, you get much better than if you're playing a bad tennis player. You kind of you elevate to their level or somewhere around, just because that's the effect that they have on you. And so I sort of definitely believe that right from the beginning, that, you know, if I had these good people. And I also thought, you know, just in terms of chemistry, it was like, again, it was the casting. It was like, if I had good chemistry with these people, and if I could interact with them in the same way that the character could interact with them, it would just be natural. It would be effortless. So I wouldn't have to worry about that. And, you know, also I'm playing essentially a sort of a slightly, you know, sort of basically a variation of myself.
Yeah.
So you know, it's like, how hard is it to play your fucking self? Whereas you were actually playing someone who was complete opposite of you. You know, I wasn't doing that. I was literally just basically playing me. Or like a sort of a more introverted me.
Yeah. Wesley from I Survived the Zombie Holocaust is a nice person.
Well, no, I mean, he's like a nerdy, like socially awkward, like, you know, kind of fucking doofus.
Yeah.
Whereas you are like a funny, quite articulate, you know, person that's more of the life of the party, you know, if anything.
Stop it.
Get out of here.
This is turning into a big...
This is turning into a love fest.
Mutual hand job fest.
But, you know, so it was very, like, you know, even the idea of this guy, you know, that has never, you know, got with any girls and stuff like that, that's, you know, you'd boned heaps of chicks by that stage. By 27, you'd boned heaps of chicks.
That's not true. That's not true.
You were knee deep in pussy.
That's not true.
By that stage,
None of that's
you were
true.
waiting. You had to throw pussy away. You had to,
Get all these pussies out of here. I got work to do.
You were splashing pussy off onto other people because it was.
I was like, hey, guy.
You were drowning in it.
Hey, guy, you want some of this pussy? Here, take, I got heaps.
You gotta. Yeah, I got some pussy tucked in my back pocket, and you want some? I keep this for.
That's not true.
No, but look,
None of that's true.
Respectfully speaking. So, yeah, but you were very different, where I wasn't. But I did think that was interesting. I also thought the other funny thing about that podcast was that you mentioned that you had a bowl cut when we first met.
Yeah.
which I'd kind of forgotten about,
Right.
but I also remember really rubbing me the wrong way because
Yeah.
you know, obviously when we first met, I wasn't a big fan of you,
Yeah.
and you know, it was your short shorts, it was your Australian accent, but I'd forgotten all about that
bowl
stupid
cut.
fucking bowl cut.
Yeah. I had a repeated issue, right, where I would go to the barber
Yeah.
and I'd say, I want an undercut.
Yeah.
Okay, and this happened repeatedly. I'd be like, I want an undercut.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, well, your hair's not long enough. And they'd give me a bowl cut. You know, they give me more of this like bowl cut thing going on, and I was like, no, like I've seen people with hair this long and they've got undercuts, but I consistently had this problem. And then I'd go back, my hair would get longer, of course,
Yeah.
and I'd go back and I'd say, okay, cool, it's long enough now. I need an undercut, and
Yeah.
they'd be like, yep, and then they'd give me this fucking bowl cut.
Yeah.
So I was.
You blame the hairdresser, not your own sense of style.
Because I asked for the undercut. You
Yeah.
know, I wanted the undercut, which was the big rage.
It's interesting.
You should get an undercut.
Well, the undercut's coming back, man. Like, in fact, I saw Colin Farrell sporting an undercut in a feature film. Like, the whole film. He's just got a fucking undercut. I was like, what? An undercut? This is trippy, man. And,
Get it
you know,
back.
it's funny, like, there's a photo, I don't think you've seen it at my house, but there's a photo that my mum's put on the wall of me with a amazing undercut, like, and kind of bleach blonde streaks. And I'm like,
Sounds familiar.
and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that undercut! I forgot all about it because the thing about an undercut is you did have to start with a bowl.
Yeah.
Right. So when you started the undercut and you're growing it out from the top, essentially that, you know, they have to shave up the sides.
Yeah.
So even if you've got some stuff going on the top, it's actually, you know, starts off quite bowly.
Yeah.
And then kind of progresses to an undercut. But it starts off as basically the worst haircut ever and progresses into the second worst haircut ever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, that was my cross to bear. The bowl cut.
So you went from having bad hair to no hair.
Yeah, and then now I dream of being
You
able to have a
dreamed
bowl
that you could
cut.
just rock a bowl.
I wish I could have a bowl cut. Hey. I could kind of have a bowl cut in the sense that, like, Gregorian monks have like a bowl cut, you know?
Yes,
Like they sort of have it longer on the side, but bald on top. I can kind of get rocked back.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be the next thing. Maybe that could be the new fad, you know?
Well, you know, there
I
is...
could be a style icon for bald men.
Yeah, there is a time, like, where one day, we may never live to see it, but where bald, like, being bald will be fashionable.
Yeah, well, it did used to be, right? Like, back in, like, I think it was like Roman
and in
days.
China as well. Like,
Right.
you know, for this period of time, everyone was shaving their
Shaving
head.
the top of their head. Like, I'm pretty sure the Romans, they used to, like, some of them, you know, like Roman senators and shit, I'm sure that was a fashion. They would, or something like that, they would shave the top of the young guys would be shaving their heads to look like the mature, you know, intelligent older men, you know? Back when that was cool. Back before we worshipped youth. Bring back the good old days, I say.
Bring back Caesar.
And let's burn some fucking Christians while we're at it.
Hail Caesar. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Your bowl cut was really interesting to be on that podcast.
Okay.
Reminded me of that. Now, I mean, I've got one final topic, but do we have any listener questions? Listener things?
I don't think we've got any decent listener ones this week. But I did want to talk about, I've started an American accent course to learn an American accent before I go there, / just in case I get cast in Power Rangers.
Right.
And I started my first, I did my first class last night. It was very good. Her name was Jackie Drew. So far I recommend her.
Okay.
But she did have some tips, which were as follows: open throat, mobile tongue, relaxed jaw, mobile lips. I was quite excited for a while. But
You got a bit of a you got a boner in class.
yeah, I got a boner in class over that one. But that was just how to do an American accent.
That's how to enunciate.
Yeah.
It is also how to give a good blowjob.
Yeah, well, you know.
So if you're
there's
like
a very high value class.
Yes.
Okay. You get a lot of value for money if you go to Jackie Drew's class.
So the girls there, and the guys, they're doing these amazing American accents, and they're also
giving exceptional blowjobs.
quality blowjobs.
Yeah.
A quality beach.
So look, here's the thing: if you ever meet somebody out at the club, and you first thing you got to do, ask them if they can do an American accent. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so I thought I'd give my new American accent a go.
Yeah, give it a whirl.
So you got to open your throat in a particular way. Keeping in mind that I started last night, so I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Harley Neville. I live in Auckland, and it's awesome.
Not bad.
That's all I got.
It's not bad. I guess the thing at the moment is it doesn't sound like your voice.
Yeah.
It does sound American.
Yeah.
It doesn't really sound like your voice.
No, well, it's not my voice, And the thing is, when you walk into an audition, they don't know what your voice sounds like.
All right.
So, you rock on in there and you just have your American accent.
So if
voice
you
on.
sound like a nerdy American,
yeah,
they'll be okay with that.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah, well, it depends on the role, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I just wanted to touch on one thing. Now, you know that I'm a big pro wrestling fan.
Yes.
I'm a huge pro wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Who is the most famous professional wrestler in the world?
Hulk Hogan.
Without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
He is the Elvis of professional wrestling.
Yes.
He is an icon. They call him the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
And he is basically the biggest dude, the guy. And unfortunately, there's been a bit of scandal this week.
Yes.
Now, 8 years ago, he recorded a sex tape with the wife of a radio DJ who he was good friends with at the time.
Yeah.
He didn't know it was being recorded. He didn't know it was being filmed.
So did they set up cameras just incognito around the room?
Yes, the radio guy did.
Right.
So basically
He's obviously not a very good friend, is he?
Well, I think this is basically what happened. So the radio DJ, Bubba the Love Sponge, right, who's a famous radio DJ in America, or was. I'm not sure if he's still... I'm assuming he is, right? And he and Hogan were good friends, right? Now, at one point, he had this hot wife, right? Now, somewhere along the line, he got it in his head that it was a good idea for Hulk Hogan to sleep with his wife. That was a good thing to happen.
I'll be honest, that sounds like a bad idea. And the reason being that, Hulk Hogan was this very, very, very famous, very successful... He was a superstar.
Yep.
And
he was big.
He was
6'7",
a big guy, a superstar, and the level of success that he achieved, he must have had a lot of sex.
Yeah, if you were knee deep in pussy, he was like sort of
he was neck deep in pussy.
Yeah, he was in the deep end of pussy.
And like the time period as well, that like the 80s and 90s.
Yep.
I just don't know if condom use was like
let's just say Hulkamania was running wild.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like the guy, he's a high risk partner.
The Hulkster was hulking up at many times.
Exactly. And if you're going to let somebody with that much experience hit your wife, well, I'm just saying, it's inviting risk.
So anyway, they had a falling out, basically. Him and his wife have now, I think, divorced or separated, right? And, and maybe even just as soon as it happened, he was kind of bitter about it. He thought it was a good idea at the time. The Hulkster slept with his wife. It was no longer a good idea. It was not a good thing. He was not a fan. But he had this recording of it, and he basically leaked it online, which meant that it's kind of surfaced with Gawker and some other, TMZ, and there's a few clips of it online.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you rubbed one out to that?
I have not jerked it to Hulk Hogan.
Well, but was she hot?
She was hot, yeah.
So what's the problem?
Have you seen the Hulkster?
Well, tell me this. Has he got a big wang?
It's definitely a reasonable size.
Yeah?
Yeah. They don't call him the Hulk for nothing.
Yeah. And when he started getting aroused, was he like?
He was like, let me tell you something, brother. The Hulkster's boner. Yeah, like so anyway.
So anyway, sorry, I digress.
So there was a sex tape, and everyone thought he was trying to get this shut down, right? And everyone kind of thought it's just like the sex tape was the bad thing,
yeah,
because he was having sex, and he has been, he was Mr. America. He was literally called Mr. America for a while. He was eat your vitamins, say your prayers, and thank God sort of thing. Like that was his thing. He was the sort of the best of us, the best person, and all about the kids, just like the kind of the truest, purest. I mean, his theme music was like American made or something like that.
Right, but so
anyway, we thought it was him trying. He just didn't want this porn out because you don't want the Hulkster.
But everyone was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, Hulky. Like, it's all good. Sex tapes will just put you back in the media, So it's a smart career move."
Well, the thing is, the WWE is a publicly traded family sort of company entity now. So again, that was bad for him. That was all we thought. But apparently, on the sex tape, now it has been revealed 8 years later that he said some very bad things.
He said some naughty words.
And this was the thing that has now been this big scandal, which has blown up, which they have extracted what he said, and this is just a quote from when he was having sex or like before or and this is what it is. Now, Brooke is his daughter, right? Okay. So I don't know if Brooke.
You got to do it in the Hulk voice.
Oh my God. I don't know if Brooke was fucking the black guy's son. I mean, I don't have double standards. I mean, I'm a racist to a point. Fucking N-word. But then when it comes to...
You gotta say it.
No, I'm not gonna say it.
You gotta say it. You are quoting... This is a quote. Don't pussyfoot around.
I'm not quoting.
It's a quote. You're allowed to say it in a quote.
You can't say it.
You can't say N-word.
No,
This is a quote, guy.
Yeah, this is not...
That is pathetic.
But when it comes to nice people and shit and whatever, I mean, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some N-word, I'd rather have her marry an 8-foot-tall N-word worth $100 million, like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking N-words.
I've said nigger on the podcast before.
Yeah, it's all right in some certain context, but this is hate speech, man.
That's a quote.
It doesn't matter. It's a bad quote.
That's a quote.
This is not like...
you can say it, and you're not. It's not reflecting badly on you.
Well, look, all it takes is someone to take a piece out right there.
And they'll recognise it as a quote from the Hulk.
So
You've even got the Hulk voice on.
So anyway...
It doesn't even sound like you.
So anyway, this came out, right?
There was a quote from... Remember, there was somebody who commented on on my poem, and he said, "No wonder he's a hedonistic atheist. He talks like a common nigger."
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was a quote from a YouTube comment on a poem of mine on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Now, that is a perfectly acceptable time to use the word. You're quoting. No, not him. Me on the podcast. I'm okay to say the word, but I'm reading somebody else. I'm quoting somebody else.
Well, look, I just got to plead the Eminem fifth on this one. So, he said that, right? Which is bad.
Yes.
And essentially now the WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment, who have fired him. He's been removed. All his merchandise has been removed. He has, they're looking to edit him out of the movies that he was in that were part of WWE
How
Studios.
How are they going to edit him out of
They're going to reshoot.
Santa with muscles?
They're going to reshoot.
They can't edit him out of Santa with muscles. It'll just be with muscles.
They're going to reshoot, these new films that he's been in.
Yeah.
And basically they've severed all ties with him.
Yeah.
And, it's, and this is the thing is, the most white bread guy, it's not Bill Cosby level, but it's bad.
Yeah.
Where to for Hulkster now?
Yeah, well...
Forgiveness in a couple of years or no?
Oh, I think it's probably time to retire anyway, to be fair.
Well, he is retired. He's he was basically like a public face, like a brand ambassador.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So he didn't wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
He just,
did the reality shows and all that stuff.
Yes, and was just like, we all know Hulk Hogan. Here's Hulk Hogan at Comic-Con. Here's, here's Hulk Hogan introducing the new WWE 12K video game.
I feel like getting him off their panel shows, okay, that makes sense, you don't want to be sort of championing this overt racist.
Yeah.
But, taking the merchandise off the show...
Well, he's a covert racist, to be fair.
Well, yeah, because it was a conversation...
In private,
yeah. So he's not an overt racist, actually. But still, you can't have that on your morning panel of, experts or whatever talking about whatever they're talking about. But, taking off the merchandising, that seems silly. Like, you're going to take away the merchandising of, like, an 80s icon? It just doesn't... It seems like an overreaction to me, not to mention a really silly business move.
Well, don't you think, though, that if they don't do that...
Yeah.
That... again, age of outrage.
People will be like, "Oh, you're making money from the dolls.
You're making money off a racist.
Off a racist.
You're supporting a racist by selling this stuff."
Yeah. Well, that's the problem when you got these family sort of oriented sort of businesses. I guess you do have that. Yeah, that's a tough one.
It was a very sad, dark day for me because I loved Hulk Hogan.
So, are you angry at the WWE or are you angry at Hulk Hogan?
I'm angry. Well, look. On the one hand, I feel sorry for him, just because, the thing is, he's never said a bad word in public.
No.
He's always been a great ambassador for the company.
But it's a bit of a disappointment, isn't it?
It's a huge disappointment.
Disappointed by his behaviour because I personally don't know people that use the word nigger so freely
and like
as
that.
If it's in a derogatory way,
and so much.
And when if I do meet somebody that says the word nigger and they're not black themselves, I'm always like, well, that's not really that cool.
No.
I think less of them as a result.
Well, and also, to be like, sort of, I'm racist to a point. I guess we're all a little bit racist. Are we, Hulkster? I'm not.
Yeah.
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 Is that really fair?
Yeah.
And so, but I guess, to see, the biggest hero go to the biggest zero.
Yeah, I think that race is it's a different topic in America than it is here.
Yeah.
And it's because they've got a different, like, the history of it is far different.
Yes.
And like, they sort of, they took these people, they dehumanized them for, generations, and then they emancipated them and said, welcome back, but you've got to fit into our society. And, like, it's inevitably, it's caused friction over there. And I guess it's this whole other culture that we don't quite grasp in the same way that they do. So, I guess that's just the way he was brought up.
Well, was it, I guess the other flip side of the coin is, like, we all say terrible things in private,
I say the worst things on this podcast.
But I mean, like, the jokes that you make out, in private to me, and then I joke that it's going to be shit my flatmate says, but they're completely tongue-in-cheek, and they're completely,
That one about the Nazis wasn't.
What?
Because Guy was setting up to do a video for the Germans, which is where our film is going to be getting playing over there.
Yeah.
And it was a behind the scenes video for the Germans, sort of a hi guys, thanks for buying the film and answering some questions and so on. But he was dressed like a homeless person. Yeah. He was dressed like a homeless person.
Yeah, that's right. And what did you say?
And I said, and I was filming it, and I was like, "Are you going to wear that?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Well, you should probably dress up a little bit more, say what you want about the Nazis, but they were actually very well dressed." And that's true.
They were.
They were very well dressed.
They were presentable.
So, I feel like your homeless man fashion probably wouldn't have gone down very well with them. The Germans, that is, not the Nazis. It wouldn't have gone down with the Nazis either.
So, that's the thing is, like, what we say in private, and also, you know, he was in a dark place in his life. His marriage was disintegrating. He had multiple back surgeries. He's in agony all the time. Yeah. His son had gone to jail for this vehicle accident, which had put another of his son's friends permanently brain damaged.
Right.
He was like boy racing. So it was like the darkest period in his life. And then, you know, I guess to have that made public in this time, you know, it's like, come on, man. You know, like...
Wait, so now is the darkest period?
No, well, it is now.
But back then...
Back then was the darkest period of his life. This is the second darkest... This is the more dark now because his sort of reputation is ruined.
Yeah.
But
his
legacy, exactly, and that's what they're talking about, his legacy. Because how do we remember the Hulk? Because before this, it was all good,
He's
basically,
an all-American hero,
and now it's like an all-American racist, and it's really bad. And you know, like he's 61 years old, so it's not like, you know, he's not going to be around to rebuild it forever.
Yeah.
And like it's not like he can kind of sort of come back in 10 years and wrestle again or something like that, you know. So it has really severely affected him. And you know, so on the one hand, I like, obviously you can never endorse what he said, and it's really horrible. But you can also, you know, there's this whole thing about making private things public. Is that okay? Can we be judging people on what they say behind closed doors? Because, you know, what the president says behind closed doors is terrible, I'm sure, but it's behind closed doors. That's the whole idea.
Well, I guess that's still the risk that you take when you say anything.
Yeah.
You know, the risk is that in this day and age, you know, there are multiple ways that you could be being recorded and it could get out. And if it does, well, then you're just the unlucky one, you know, and you shouldn't have said it.
So the moral of the story is, don't be a racist.
Please. All right, so that is all we have time for this week.
That's true, yes. Because I'm about to see a film.
He is 10 minutes late for another film in the film festival.
Love 3D.
Right.
Which is basically a 3D softcore porn.
Nice.
So penises are going to be like
Shooting
spearing
out.
me in the face.
Some shots all over the audience.
Like jizz is going to be flying onto my forehead in 3D.
Yeah, nice.
This is going to be amazing. This is going to be a real treat.
Okay, so look, on that note, thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you to our one listener who's still on the stream watching.
Yep.
Cheers, bro.
Thanks, mate.
Please tune in next week and give us your listener topics. If you've got anything you want us to talk about, give it to us on the Guy and Harley podcast Facebook page. Also, check out I Survived a Zombie Holocaust on Facebook, and you can see the trailer there and ways to buy it.
Thank you very much.
See you next week. You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.